Welcome, little one. This is your first day. Your designation will be RP-01/138. We expect great things from you. You have been born into dangerous times. A sharp mind can be the key to survival. But as often as not, it will be your inherent physical traits that win the day. And in this regard, you will be superior to your more common brethren. For you are a commando, an elite unit, something truly special. Your weapons, your armor, and most importantly, your brothers.
All right, men. Listen up.
Delta Squad, form up.
Forming up, boss.
What up, my fellow Republic Commandos? It is your boy Trey of the Bat Channel. We are live in a galaxy far, far away, somewhere with a bat cave. And as always, I have to bring in the best co-host, Sith sympathizer that I could ever ask for. He is an Anakin Skywalker shill. He is for the I almost went too far with the younglings, Corey, with the joke on that, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna bring him in. Super Bro Corey, where are you at?
I don't want to hear the joke now.
you were okay with what Anakin did, and balancing the Force.
Right.
You and Batman are our biggest problem.
Oh, you know.
Oh my gosh, how you doing, big fella?
Doing great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. I watched chapter 18 again this morning, and I just was like watching it to like see if I could catch on to any Easter eggs that I may have missed. But just watching it, are you playing the Order 66 song?
Damn right I am. You brought it up.
You turned against me. Which, Corey, guess what I found out?
What's that?
Hayden Christensen is coming to Fan Expo here in Denver this July, man.
Sign me up, big fella.
I was like, The problem is, I don't know if I'd be able to like go up to him and just be like, I'd be like, "Hello there," but I would probably have to say like,
I
"Why
would be
did
like,
you do
"You were
that
the
to me?"
chosen one.
You
I
were
wonder
my
how much
brother.
I wonder how much he gets yelled at that.
He probably
Like,
hates it. He's just like,
"You
guys,
were the chosen one,
there were
Aiden."
actors. There were no younglings, and we cut away. We didn't show it. In
I would
fact,
love
they
to
actually
go
won.
there.
They bullied me. You know?
I actually can I pay to meet him, or
Yeah, I think it is. I haven't like done all the research yet
And
for it, but to do all
can
the
we
autographs.
videotape that interaction between me and him?
What's that?
Can we videotape the interaction that we have together?
Why not? Yeah, why not? I'm
Well,
sure
because I
he'd
want
be
to
okay
ask
with
him straight up if he also believes that Obi-Wan gave up too soon.
You know what, Corey? I will promise you this. If, when I go in July, and if I do decide to, pay to see Hayden Christensen, I will ask that question and I will record it for our Delta Squad stream.
Why can't I go with you?
Because are you going to come all the way down to Denver for that?
Well, I feel like if this is happening, I feel like I have to be there for when I'm going to tell him, like, listen, Hayden, straight up, I'm a huge fan of you. I'm a huge fan of Vader. But I think you got kind of messed over a little bit, and we've debated about this on the Bat Channel with Delta Squad. Obi-Wan gave up on Anakin too soon. Where's your take, Hayden?
That we could make that happen. Then just a little call out at the end. Please subscribe to Delta Squad. It'll be like
that may have to happen, big fella.
Right? Hey, if you're down, we might make that happen, guys. But first off, I want to address the super chat from Trevor H, my man, coming in with that $5 super chat, saying, "This is the way." This episode was so cool. I agreed. I liked this episode quite a bit. There was, I'm just into the whole Mandalorian culture and the creed and stuff like that. It's just cool. Corey, can you play Trevor H a little some? I feel like we know what need to play when Trevor H comes out with a super chat like this. Trevor H, this is for you. Thank you so much, brother.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Oh, that was perfect. Did you hear the music? It's almost like I planned that.
Right, it is. It is almost like you planned that. Well, guys, thank you so much, Corey. Who all do we have in the chat before we bring on our boy of the Delta Squad?
Yeah,
Mr. Orkin
we
Beans.
got a packed house already. We got Retro Nerd Girl Ryan
Retro, who was on our show last week. Please subscribe to her channel. She's amazing. She's starting to do Mandalorian shows as well. Need to check those out. Retro's awesome.
We got Beyond the Night in the house, Red Hooded Outlaw, Oracle's Clock Tower, hashtag Restore the Snyderverse Guy, Bat Fanatic, Trevor H also hitting us with another This Is the Way. And then Oracle's Clock Tower said, Trey, when are you doing your full on 65 review?
I'm going to record a video later today that I'm going to do some editing, and then I'll put it up tonight. It'll be kind of like my quick non-spoiler review for anyone who is on the fence about seeing 65. I may kind of give like a brief 10-minute video about the things I liked and some of the things that kind of bugged me about it, but in the end, I think it's worth anyone going to see it in theaters. I mean, with dinosaur movies, you need the better sound quality, which I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. That will be in my 65 non-spoiler review. And then Corey, are you seeing it today or tomorrow?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to see it today. So
okay.
We were talking about spoiler review and everything like that. We didn't think it was right for us to only give people one day to watch it and do a spoiler review tonight. So also quick shout out to Jordan. He's in the house.
What's up, Jordan? Glad to see you here once again. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you guys have hit that like, smash that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss those episodes. Because we're definitely gonna be the month of March is gonna be a busy month for us, because we're gonna be doing obviously 65, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and then which the big spoiler happened the other day that seemed like the director wasn't too happy about. So try to avoid Twitter if you can and any social media, because it's definitely spreading all around like wildfire. But yeah, that's all I'll say. Be careful of spoilers for Shazam Fury of the Gods. It's definitely and the sad part is it was done by Warner Brothers.
Man, they self-sabotaging.
Yeah, well, they're just desperate to get tickets, because they're saying it's gonna open lower than the first movie, which is not good. I think they're talking it's going to be like $25 to $35 million opening weekend domestically. So,
Warner Brothers Discovery, they can self-terminate. They're just straight up, like Terminator. I can't self-terminate. These guys are trying to shoot themselves.
they're trying to. They're just like, I can't do it. And WBD's like, we can.
Yeah, he's like pressing the button to go down themselves.
Not even doing the thumb. They're just doing the thumb down. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Hashtag restore Mandalorian. I like that. That's a cool hashtag. But Corey, let's go ahead and bring in our great co-host of the Delta Squad, the man who's taking over Twitch every day. He is the rock star. He is the man of the horde, the Orc and Beans 14. What is up, brother? Glad
Hello.
Finally on Delta Squad. How you doing, man?
I'm good. So it's funny that you talk about talking to Hayden Christensen. I a couple months ago DM'd Pedro Pascal on Instagram to see if he would make us a video for Delta Squad to promote Mandalorian, and he never got back to me.
Oh, Pedro.
I said, you know what? I'm gonna shoot my shot and try, and it didn't work out, but it would have been awesome if it did.
Boo, Pedro! I'm done watching.
Oh no, Pedro's a sweetheart, man. Like Sarah's like, dude, you got a bit of a man crush on that guy. He's just so nice to everyone.
Did you watch his Hot Ones?
I did, yeah.
I watched it yesterday.
Did you? Yeah, the Hot Ones challenge. He did actually pretty good. Of course, the bomb destroys everybody.
That's what you said. But the bomb was the worst one.
Yeah, it's not a it's not a fun sauce. Corey and I are well aware of that.
I heard. I'm going to do a hot take on this. I heard The Last of Us is really just Mandalorian in a zombie apocalypse.
That's fair. It's a little more serious, though. There's more tears involved every 5 seconds.
Yes, but I think it's really good. I thought last episode was awesome.
I heard he's, protecting a child or something like that.
It really is, but also isn't that kind of what 65 is about?
Which is why I said in my quick short YouTube short video that it was basically Planet of the Apes, take out the apes and put in dinosaurs, and Last of Us put into one. It was like that's your movie.
Call me up when somebody asks Pedro in Last of Us where to go, and he says this is the way. Let me know when that happens.
And just that will be when Ellie in Last of Us just stares at him, just like, I feel like I've heard that before. Like, no, I don't think you have. No, not really. That would be actually. I don't know. Are they allowed to do that because it's Warner Brothers technically, or HBO?
Well, they could. He could say this is the way.
I guess that's not copyrighted. Right?
Yeah, this is the way we go. Well, and everybody was like, aha.
So, Orc, I know you weren't with us on the first episode breakdown. What was can you give us like a brief, what was your thoughts? What would you score it? And yeah.
I loved it. I talked a little bit when we did the watch party. I love my space battles. And I felt like it brought us back into like that Star Wars type of show that Andor kind of took us away from, which I thought Andor was great for doing that. But Andor I felt like was kind of like a nice like palate cleanser. And now we're kind of getting back into like the Star Wars type of show. I gave it a 9. Because I just, like I said, space battles are the best.
Yeah, and that's what we kind of saw. I think I gave it an 8.8. Trey gave it an 8.9. Most of the chat gave it a high 8.9 score. So that's kind of where everybody agreed. Space battles are dope. That's what everybody was kind of saying.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun episode for sure. I think it was definitely a setup episode for the things to come. Obviously, with the Pirate King, the Space Pirate King, the Davy Jones Swamp Thing Man that they're going to build into probably at least a mid-season big bad. But first episode was a great start to season 3. They did give you a little bit of a recap of what happened in Book of Boba or Mando season 2.5. But this episode I can't wait to talk to you guys about, because there were some big things going on. We got back to Mandalore, and we learned a lot of things revealed during that, and some great action sequences, but also hinting to much bigger things to come. So guys, make sure, if you haven't already, smash that like, share this video, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. And if you feel like supporting us a little further, just like Trevor H did, super chats go a long way. That helps us renew our StreamYard subscription, and also doing more cool things for you guys in the future with our productions and improving our equipment and stuff like that. So we can't grow without your guys' help, and you have been so instrumental in helping us get to that next milestone that we're trying to get to, which is 2,000 subscribers. So please make sure you share this stream right now, get your friends involved, because the more people we have chatting, the more great the discussion is. Retro Nerd Girl says, after this episode, I had problems with episode 1. This was much more superior. I personally agree with you. There were some really cool things. Do you think we will see Ezra because there were space wells in the first episode? Do you know who he's talking about? Orkin, Super Bro Corey? Obviously,
he's
we
from
did
Rebels,
talk
right?
about this. Yes, he's from Rebels. Yeah, Ezra Bridger. He's very cool. And to answer your question, Jordan, I don't know if we'll see him in The Mandalorian, but clearly they want Star Wars Rebels on our mind. I think we could see Grand Admiral Thrawn to lead into Ahsoka, which is coming out later this year, I believe. So I think that's coming for sure. Absolutely. Good question, Jordan. I appreciate it. Yeah, I know some cool things. Guys, are you ready to get into our Chapter 18, Season 3, Episode 2 breakdown?
I think so.
All right, here we go. So obviously this episode was titled The Mines of Mandalore. Some really cool things going on with this episode. We knew it was coming. We knew at some point we're going to come back to the planet of Mandalore after the Night of 1,000 Tears, when the Empire completely just obliterated the surface of Mandalore right before the, basically episode 4. We knew this was kind of coming, that we were going to have to get to this place at some point, because obviously Din Djarin's mission to bathe himself in the waters of Mandalore and mines, so that he may redeem himself a part of his creed, and that he may officially declare himself a Mandalorian again after taking off his helmet. Guys, when we started on Tatooine, Mos Eisley, we got a there was a pod race going on. Out of curiosity, were you surprised to not get really a reference of clearly there's celebrations again. It seems like Boba Fett's rule is going well, but we didn't really get too much of a mention from him, other than what Healy said of, saying like, oh, are you back because the Hutts are here? Or they want to take out Boba Fett? What do you think about Mos Eisley's current status after the reign of Boba Fett?
It seems like things are going fine. The guy that she was dealing with looked like he was wearing some nice robes, so he seems like he's got some money going on. And if I remember correctly, isn't this the same holiday that is why they do the pod race with Anakin?
Oh yeah, Bunta Eve. Yeah. It is the same holiday, and it's in a way. I did a little bit of research on it, and apparently, like, Bunta Eve was there was a Hutt from a long time ago.
They saw as like a god, right?
Yeah, that basically he was like Jesus. He transformed himself into god form. I mean, clearly the Hutts kind of just creating a legend to kind of boost their, I guess, their right to rule and their divineness against all their followers and stuff like that. So kind of funny that they did something like that. But yeah, it was a nice little nod to what we've known about Tatooine and some of the holidays they have. Yeah.
And
cool.
it looked like they spent a lot on fireworks.
Right.
So those can't be cheap. So it seems like Tatooine's doing pretty well financially.
Agreed. Super Bro Corey, how about you?
Yeah, man. I thought it was fun. I wish we got to see a little bit more of that pod race. Pod racing's fun. But yeah, it was cool to see that they're living the good life, other than hating sand down there.
It is coarse. It gets
Well,
everywhere.
it is, of course, and it gets everywhere. Yeah, man. It does look like Boba Fett's rule is going well. It seems like people are a little happier, which is good. One of the cool things of the Easter eggs there, obviously, Din Djarin went there to see if she had the parts that he would need to fix the other droid that we saw in episode 1. That he was hoping to get fixed, but she obviously doesn't have it, and she gave him another droid called R5. Hopefully that droid looks familiar to you guys, because it was the same droid in A New Hope that Luke Skywalker's family first chose before it broke down.
I knew that, and because you can even see like the same plate is missing. And then also they made sure, I saw like a behind the scenes thing about it where they made sure to like paint like oil on the back because he also has part of his back blow off. So I thought that was a really cool little detail. Also, can we just talk about how awesome of a scam she's got running there?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Where she steals the part. I mean, it's kind of like what happens to Obi-Wan in his show where he's like, hey, if you're going to steal my own parts and sell them back to me, could you at least clean them for me? And so she's kind of running the same little thing. But I thought it was funny when she was even like, hey, just make sure you paint them a different color so it looks like they're new.
Right. It's a classic Tatooine, bartering over there. Corey, did you recognize that was R5 from A New Hope?
Nope, didn't recognize it.
I thought it was so cool. Like as soon as she was like, and this is R5, like he works just fine. And I loved the fact that he kind of like broke down for a second, like, oh yeah, he's built for adventure. And he's like, what?
Yeah, no, R2D2 didn't rub off on him at all, huh?
No. Well, I mean, there is some. I don't know if it's canon, but there was like a book that came out that was called
Force Sensitive. He's like force sensitive, and he like sacrificed himself so that R2 could be the one that goes with Luke.
It was something like that, yeah. Like R2D2 asked him to basically, have a malfunction so that he could go with Luke. So that's kind of like the behind the scenes story of A New Hope to kind of make that moment like even more impactful. Like I said, I don't know if that is like officially canon, if that was just like Star Wars lore that once Disney took over it was kind of abandoned, but kind of a cool thought if you think about it. But obviously Din Djarin needs a droid that can test the air and navigate on Mandalore to see if basically the air is poison like the curse is said to be on Mandalore. So that's why he's taking this droid with him. Corey, can you go to the next slide? I did love this little moment we've kind of seen throughout this. Din Djarin kind of really taking his time to train Grogu through the ways of the Mandalorian, of always knowing your navigation, your space navigation, and knowing where you are, because that is what it means to be Mandalorian. And of course, it really was set up for this particular episode where that would come in handy fairly soon. Once they actually get to Mandalore, one of the things I really loved was you keep hearing people talk about the stories that said this was once like a peaceful, this was once a beautiful planet, and you can see that it's just covered with these green shards that we saw in the first episode that had the scripture on it, and now it's just completely because of the fusion rays from the Night of a Thousand Tears. It's been pretty just decimated. Guys, when you finally see these creatures, one thing that this episode I felt like did a lot better than some of the previous episodes of Mandalorian through season 2, season 1 is attention to detail. The Alamites, which was those creature things, those two-legged creatures, did you happen to notice their weapons were made out of the same green shards that is kind of covering the surface now?
Yeah, I feel like they're just trying to be as resourceful as they can be in their situation. I'd seen a thing that because I think Bo-Katan, doesn't she recognize them right away? Like what those creatures are?
Yeah, so clearly they're native to Mandalore.
And so it might be a thing where like the reason they survived is because they knew where to hide or something, or they were more on the outskirts of everything going on. So I thought that was cool that that they were just being resourceful and trying to use whatever they could.
Absolutely, I agree. It was in some like pretty cool weapons. Like some of them had like those big honking hammer things, and some of them had kind of like, it looked like kind of those old Polynesian warrior blades that they came up with, or like the Mayans with their swords and stuff like that. I dug it. It was pretty cool. How about you, Corey? Did you catch some of those details?
Are these creatures one of the things you were kind of telling us about, that since we didn't see all of Clone Wars or Rebels and stuff like that, that these are some of the creatures and like things that we wouldn't really know who they are?
No. So these creatures, I think I said it in my trailer reaction. I originally thought, because I didn't know in the trailer if they were on Mandalore, if it was some other planet. The game Star Wars Force Unleashed, I think they go to Felicia, and you see kind of like weird jungle creatures like that, and that's what I was originally like. I thought that was them, but when it came to some of the creatures, I'm trying to recall which ones I was telling you about from Clone Wars that I was like, you guys probably wouldn't recognize what they were. But yes, I do see what you're saying. They did look similar to a creature in Clone Wars, but the creatures in Clone Wars were more Arctic, like built for snow. So these were kind of different, but they kind of had similar facial structures, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Yeah, the Alamites eat the Mandalorians. That's I guess whatever you can find. It was kind of cool to see. You can kind of get a sense as you're learning about the Mandalorians, that in their war culture and how there's been plagued with civil war, plagued with just nonstop fighting, which kind of resembles what the Blacksaber does, right? The Blacksaber, you can only win it by combat and become its master, I guess you could say. Guys, what's your thoughts that Din Djarin is still struggling to carry the weight of the Blacksaber? Like he's still dragging it along the ground and just hasn't really mastered it yet.
Well, don't they say in the first episode when he's talking about that it keeps getting heavier? Isn't it because like his mind isn't clear? And that is part of the, like, it's not so much like physical strength, but also kind of like a mental strength. And I wonder if like once he's got this like guilt, I think, of taking off his helmet and not being a Mandalorian anymore, that I feel like once he accomplishes what he's, going through the living waters and becomes a Mandalorian again, it'll take that pressure off of him and let him clear his mind. And then he can, because if you hold the thing, you're supposed to be able to run the Mandalorians. Well, he's not a Mandalorian. And so I think once he redeems himself and he can take that pressure off of him, then he'll be able to use it the way that it's supposed to be used.
So your theory is because he deep down believes he is not a Mandalorian, that is holding him back from carrying the weight of Lightsaber.
And once he gets that off of his shoulders, he becomes a Mandalorian again, he's respected again, then he can truly wield it the way it's supposed to be wielded.
That's exactly how I took it too. It's almost like he's unworthy Thor right now. You know, he can't pick up Mjolnir, so he can't pick up the black saber either. So he's the unworthy Mandalorian right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Because clearly it doesn't take Din Djarin long to learn something new, right? Like we see him with the new Ed 1 Speedster. When he was talking to Peely, he's just like, yeah, I still haven't quite figured it out, but I'm getting it, you know. And he's, you know, he can't handle the speed of it, right? But he's like, clearly in the first episode, he's rocking that ship, and he hasn't had it for long, especially in combat. But I think you're right, Orc. I think there is some of that mental block. Because as we see later in the episode, Bo-Katan doesn't have any issues carrying that black saber, and it's, you know, she's still very well versed with it because she did, you know, own it at one point. But kind of the magic of that kyber crystal that is within that black saber that a lot of people think kind of has like a curse or magic to it. You know, you can only truly wield it if you're like the rightful master of it, and if you've connected. And as we kind of saw with, you guys don't know this, but in season 3 of Star Wars Rebels, when Sabine, who was another Mandalorian who had it, the black saber, she struggled with the weight of it at first too. And Kaden Jarrus, who was a Jedi who was kind of helping her kind of train with it, basically told her, like, well, you're not being able to carry the weight of it because you haven't connected with the kyber crystal. You need to feel it. You need to be a part of it, make it a part of you. And, you know, slowly with time, it started to get easier and easier. But as we kind of saw with the Book of Boba Fett, it has still been, Din Djarin hasn't been able to connect with it, which probably is because he doesn't think he is a Mandalorian and is deserving of it, like you said, Corey, unworthy. What's up, Costello's Way, man? It's good to see you, Phil. Hope you're doing well. I'm willing to bet he will be able to lift it now after the Living Waters. Will he, though? We'll talk about that.
I'm not sure if he's redeemed yet. Something doesn't seem quite right yet.
I agree, Super Bro Corey. So, of course, we get into the mines of Mandalore. And, of course, the city is pretty decimated. It's nothing like we've seen in Clone Wars. You know, this once beautiful, great city that Satine, who was Bo-Katan's sister, who was the rightful ruler of Mandalore. It's nothing like what we saw at last. It's definitely been destroyed through years of civil war, and, you know, even with Darth Maul, and then, of course, the Empire destroying it. But I love that we finally get down into the mines, and we start to see kind of, I don't know, it felt like a little Raiders of the Lost Ark, like searching for the artifact, you know, searching for the living waters, you know, the fountain of youth or something, or I guess you could say the Holy Grail, because really these Mandalorians, especially this season, are kind of the Knights Templar, and you kind of see him just walking through and seeing the old ruins of what the mines were before. And I love that we get to this moment where he sees this old helmet and he kind of picks it up. Guys, what did you think of that freaking cool cybernetic bio? I don't even know what to call it. To me, it was just one of the coolest Star Wars creature designs in a long time. What was your thoughts, Orc?
Yeah, I thought it was neat. I thought it was different, and that whole thing was just weird. And like, you have a picture of the form of it in the middle right here. That thing was wild. The fact that like it could like detach its head and go to a different machine and take over like that. And it also has kind of like a General Grievous vibe to it, because like that's a fleshy eye. And so I thought that was neat, and it seems like it's been there for a long time, because it looks like it has one of those like lightning staffs like Grievous's bodyguards had.
Oh yeah.
So I wonder if it's using like old school technology from back then.
I was wondering if it was a
one of the guards.
No, that or when I first saw it, I thought maybe it was a a droid. You know, that was my initial impression of it.
But Corey, do you want to have our fight now about the lighting?
Not yet.
Okay.
Well, I think it was kind of towards the end that Corey specifically was.
I just figured since we're talking about I thought the scene of him being up top and just kind of seeing this overview of the whole city and stuff like that, like it was just. I'm curious to see like how big it was, because when Bo-Katan shows up, she's like, "Oh, you would never find the living waters without me because of, how dark it is and stuff." But I mean, I feel like that shows how big it is, and we only just got to see a small part.
Well, as we learned, right, like Din Djarin has never been to the planet Mandalore, partly because of the superstition from the Death Watch is that the place was cursed, it was poisoned, no living thing could be there,
Why did she not send a droid? She's right next door. Why did she not send her own droid to go test the...
If you're talking about Bo-Katan, I was more speaking of the armorer of the superstition of that Death Watch group, the Children of the Watch.
I don't know why Bo-Katan never sent, because she said, like, the whole reason that she's doing this is because she said that it was fine, but, like, she never sent a droid over to go test the air quality. But when they're flying in, he goes, "Oh, by the way, she's right over here." Like, why? She's next door.
Yeah, and honestly, I think, and I just saw Oracle's comment, and that's exactly what I was thinking. I think she never cared to go back, partly because she's kind of tormented by the place. Her sister was murdered there, her father was murdered
Spoilers.
There. What's that? Well, if you haven't realized that by now, where her sister's at, she kind of, I think she even talked about it.
She says her dad dies.
Yeah, her dad was murdered. She did say that in this episode. And all because of Mandalorians not being able to come together, because that there was these beliefs of, are we warriors? We were bred for war. It's kind of like Greece, right? When you think about the Spartans. The Spartans were very much bred for war and battle, and they didn't really like any of the other factions of Greece. They didn't like the Athenians, all the other guys, right? But when it came to what's that, Corey?
Athenians,
or the boy lovers. No, but it was really much like that, to where then there was this idea of being more peaceful and kind of a planet of the Republic, like Satine was making the Mandalorians, and there was different thoughts about how things should have ran there, that it constantly kept civil wars going on throughout. I mean, basically they had a war with the Jedis. Then you get to the civil wars of who's the rightful ruler.
The Mandalorians fought the Jedis?
What's that?
Mandalorians fought the Jedis?
Oh yeah, dude. Oh, yeah. After Tar Vizsla, who was the first owner and first Mandalorian Jedi who had the Blacksaber, after he passed, the Jedis kept his Blacksaber. No, this isn't really Clone Wars. This is kind of like you got to do some research.
Diving? Okay.
Yeah.
Why can't we get some of that?
They kind of touch on it a little bit in Star Wars Rebels, and a little bit in Clone Wars when they talk about the Blacksaber, but you really have to do some more research to really understand the Mandalorians. And it goes to, what's up, Batan? It's good to see you, and I see you're already at it. But essentially, you kind of get this. They've just always been broken. They really haven't been united in a very, very long time. And so I think that's partly why Bo-Katan, she used to be a part of Death Watch. She used to be a part of that creed, but then she left it because they became too violent and they crossed a certain line, because they were trying to overrule her sister Satine. So she has seen both sides of the Mandalorians, and I think she's done with it. That's why she has no faith to the old creed, to their old ways. She's really kind of just, this is Mandalorians, they're always going to fight each other. They're never going to be united. There's no reason to care about Mandalore, especially it's covered in glass. I think that was more her thing. It's destroyed, the planet can't be renewed because all the Mandalorians are disjointed anyways. They don't care to be united, and they never will. So what's the point in, returning home?
This is what I want to see though. Now, I want to see Old Republic era. I want to see who the first Jedi was, or the first Sith. I kind of want to dive deeper into that.
I think at some point Disney will. I know there was some discussions to do the like kind of like a Knights of the Old Republic movie series. They just canceled a whole bunch of films recently, so who knows what's happening there. They canceled Rogue Squadron film. They canceled even Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie that he was working on. Weirdly, though, they didn't cancel the Taika Waititi Star Wars film that he wants to star in himself, which, to be honest with you, I'm not really looking forward to after Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't know if Taika is the right person for that. But I think that's why Orc and Beans, a kind of long story short, that she is just kind of whatever about Mandalore. She lacks the motivation to really care about her home world because of everything that's happened in her life. And kind of, I mean, which is why she hasn't really fought for the Blacksaber. I think, she's kind of just been like, whatever. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts about it. But that creature, I will say, to get back to the creature, the little crab, weird bug robotic thing, just a wonderful design. I loved how they did the animation of it, because once again, Star Wars has done a really wonderful job of kind of keeping to this formula when it comes to these creatures by giving it a slight slower, like what's a frame rate, so that way they kind of like move like the old Star Wars creatures, which is great. It just, to me, easily one of the coolest Star Wars characters, creature themes they've created in a long time. Really, I kind of wanted to know more about it. Almost like, has it always been there? Is it a creature that's just landed there and has been kind of, rummaging about trying to find old Mandalorian artifacts and stuff like that? I don't know. Do you guys have any theories on that, of why that thing is there?
I could see it just being like a thing that might have been always hiding around, but now that there's not as many people around, it's able to come out more. And I mean, it's clearly intelligent because it basically set a trap for them, and so it's probably something that's just been there forever.
Okay. Yeah. Are you the same, Super
No,
Bro?
I was kind of thinking maybe that this thing, saw the opportunity to invade Mandalore when everything went to shit, and they're, kind of ruling that area right now. I think, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, restoring Mandalore is on its way, and we're going to have to clear out some of these things. So there's going to be a battle here, I feel like. Okay. I like where your thoughts are. But of course, Din Djarin gets captured, and he's put into this little holding cell thing, and we don't know what's about to happen to him, but it gets kind of crazy. I am kind of curious to kind of ask you guys what was it using, what was going on there. But of course, now that Din Djarin's captured, Grogu has to, go get help. So he goes for Bo-Katan. First off, I just gotta say, I love that Grogu is getting like so much more connected with the Force and his skills, because when he's jumping around, it just makes me think about Yoda in that Attack of the Clones fight scene with Count Dooku, and in Episode 3 with the Emperor. Like the kid's gonna be a rock star when he's like fully, peaked Grogu is gonna be a scary thing. But of course, now that, as we kind of talked about earlier, because Din Djarin really took his time to tell Grogu about space navigation, he was able to get back to Bo-Katan to kind of let him know. Out of curiosity, when Bo-Katan saw the N1 starfighter coming towards her, she says, all right, we're going to get rid of him once and for all, thinking Din Djarin is in that ship. There's been theories that like the big bad of this season is probably going to be Bo-Katan, that they're going to come head to heads. When you saw this scene, do you think like, oh my God, like, yeah, like her goal is to kill Din Djarin? That's really what she's kind of going for? Or is she just going to threaten him to get rid of him?
No, I thought she was going to throw down. She brought her helmet. She was ready to go. I thought it was going to be a thing where she was ready to see him come out, and she's going to throw her helmet on. They were going to get down to business. But it is an interesting relationship, because if she was so willing to kill him right then and there, but then the moment she sees that it's Grogu, she's like, well, what happened to him? And like immediately sprung into action to help him. So I think she's having this kind of like hard complex within herself of like, what does she truly want? What does she truly believe? And like she's so fragile, I guess, in what she wants, because she wants to be left alone, but then she's willing to go get him. It's weird. She's willing to take him down to the living waters, but yet she wants nothing to do with the place. Like she's kind of all over the place, and I don't think she truly knows what she wants.
Yeah, she's definitely conflicted for sure. I can definitely see where you say that. How about you, Super Bro Corey? Do you think she's her thoughts there were to like, yeah, I'm done with this dude. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna take my Blacksaber back, or do you think when she was like, let's get rid of him for once and for all, to threaten him and shoo him away, basically?
Yeah, I think there's going to be something with this for sure. One thing I've kind of noticed over the past few episodes, seasons, especially since Grogu has been introduced, Din Djarin's gotten a little soft on us in some ways. So I think she is going to eventually square up with him to get that black lightsaber back, and I predict she'll probably get the black lightsaber back eventually.
Oh, you think she is gonna? Okay, so Corey brings up an interesting point here. Further down in the season, who do you think is gonna be ending up with the black saber? Is Din Djarin gonna maintain control of it, or is he lose it in battle, or give it to Bo-Katan?
Well, in order for her to truly have it, she has to win it in battle, right?
Well, here's kind of the caveat of that. Okay, and this is where it gets kind of confusing. A lot of people are confused about how the Blacksaber really works, because in Star Wars Rebels, season 4, I think it's episode 2, Sabine actually gives Bo-Katan the Blacksaber, not through combat. She just says, "You are the true, like, I believe you to be the true ruler," and she says, "I believe the Force brought the Blacksaber to me so that I could deliver it to you, because you are clearly the rightful ruler."
That's easy. And then she's absolutely going to be given the Blacksaber again. Mandalorian Din Djarin's going to have to choose between Grogu and the Mandalorian ways, or leading the Mandalorians, and he's going to choose to give it to Bo-Katan after she's saved him numerous times, how she's helped him out, how she wields the dark saber. It's going to belong to her, and they're going to restore Mandalore and all that fun jazz. And you know what she's going to do? She's going to unite everybody and say, you know what, it's okay, you took off your helmet. You're still going to be a part of the culture.
She's going to change the rules.
Yep, that's exactly what's happening.
But don't you see that creating another civil war? Because you have, obviously, the Children of the Watch who, they believe these superstitions. They believe the creed holds magic to it, when they say it.
You're all forgetting about a third member here.
Ooh.
I got Grogu at the end of the season using it. That's who I got. I got
Team
him
Grogu, huh?
showing up in his Mandalorian suit that I want him to get so damn badly. I can't wait for the scene where they do the same thing that they did with the little kid at the beginning of the show. Have him do his little thing. He's going to get his little suit, get his little helmet, and at the end of the season, it's going to be all dark, and you're just going to see this tiny little black saber come out, and he's going to start slicing people up.
So you're basically saying Grogu. That concept art with Grogu and Mandalorian armor, that's going to become true.
I want. When you asked me during the watch party, what did I think was going to be that, like, they talked about that, like, Anakin or the Luke type reveal. That was my thing. He's gonna get his suit. And now I want him to be the leader of the Mandalore with his little
No.
black saber,
No.
and it's gonna be awesome.
Grogu's toast. He's basically done so.
Corey, do you think Grogu is gonna be killed or taken away?
Eventually, yeah.
Oh my god, you Sith sympathizer. My goodness. Well, of course, Bo-Katan goes to find Din Djarin to rescue him, and Grogu does a good job, taking it that way, and they have a nice little sweet moment between them where she says, I've known other Jedis. Like, I don't know if you've been told about this, but we've had, we used to not always fight the Jedi. We used to work together. And of course, she's kind of referring to the time that she once worked with Obi-Wan Kenobi in Clone Wars. Also, eventually with Ahsoka and Ezra and Sabine. So it was kind of this cool moment where, kind of referencing the things we know from the other shows. And also, I feel like it's kind of setting something up in the future. With maybe, I don't know, a team up again once with the Mandalorians and the Jedis to come together, maybe to fully take out what's left over of the Empire before if it does become canon, the First Order. Well, technically it is canon. I can't deny it as a Star Wars fan. But she also talks about how, once again, her city, of how it was once a great place. They kind of redid the same kind of journey that Din Djarin did with Grogu, to sit there and talk about, hey, yeah, this was once a great city. My people ruled it. And now it's this. I think she called it this. It's this grape site, basically. Orkin Beans, you had a reaction. Was that to a comment, or was
this my complaint of the episode? We see Mandalore come through the cave, then he takes a look at the city, and then we get a shot of him flying down, then he's in the little swamp area, and then he walks through the swamp area. Then Bo-Katan comes. We see her walk through the cave, then she takes a look at the city, then she flies down the hole, and then she's walking through the swamp. It was the same series of shots. And it bothered me that, really you couldn't spice this up any differently. They had the same 15 minutes just with two different characters swapped out. And that bothered me.
I think this is a good time for me to come in, Trey, with what I was going to say.
Let me just say this before you talk about it, Corey, because I know you want to argue with Orkin Beans on something. I think it was done on purpose to show, in a way, how they're similar and how they're different. How the two characters are literally walking the same path, the same journey, seeing the same things, and how are they reacting to it? Because I believe season 3 to really be a story about Bo-Katan and Din Djarin. I think they're the focus, and obviously Grogu. Grogu is not a side character. He's very much a part of this story. But I think really the focus is going to be on those two characters and their relationship towards each other, and the path of the Mandalorians, whether you follow the creed or whether you follow the new Mandalorian way, which is kind of her way. But I think at some point they're going to find common ground because of their interactions with each other. So I think I hear what you're saying, that it was literally shot for shot, almost the same exact thing, but I feel like that was done on purpose, literally side by side, walking together.
But we didn't learn anything new. It wasn't. If you take out her scene and just cut it back to when she shows up or whatever, you get the same result. I felt like nothing. We didn't gain. What?
You're adding fuel to the fire, baby. You're adding fuel to my argument.
All right, let it rip.
All right, Craig, go ahead.
The thing about this episode for me, I loved the episode. It was a great story, but the episode was too dark. Meaning visual, lighting, everything like that. The episode was hard to see, and it was visually, in a lot of places, not spectacular for me. And you just admitted, Orc, you just admitted that they used similar scenes going through. Now, I guess here's the thing that I was extremely disappointed in. We're going to Mandalorian, Mandalore, and for the first time, we're going to see what this planet looks like. I get that this is going to be a beaten down wasteland planet because that's what it is now, right? The issue with it is, I kind of wish it was we were able to see things a little bit better, and maybe they were trying to keep it that spooky and different vibe and everything like that. So I'll give them, a little bit of credit for that. But like you said, Orc, when she came back in and she started to go through the same visual places that we saw just saw with Din Djarin, I wish that as she was walking through, we would have seen flashbacks. And I'm not a big flashback guy, but see flashbacks of what it used to look like. Because unless you watched, the other shows that you guys seen, where you guys have seen this planet before, I wanted to see what it looked like in its glory days. So I felt like this was a perfect opportunity and a hugely missed opportunity for us to see flashbacks of what it was supposed to look like and what we're seeing versus what it is now.
I 100% agree with that. That would have been awesome.
I agree too. You're right on that, Corey. Yeah.
Have you ever gone spelunking, Corey?
What?
Have you ever gone spelunking?
Spelunking?
It's when you go in a cave. You want to know why you're able to see in a cave? It's because they put man-made lights in the cave.
Oh.
You're not supposed to be able to see them. They're underground. No wonder it's dark.
Yeah.
That's the point. Mm-hmm. It would have been weird if there was lights everywhere.
Yes, I was kind of thinking, and I hear what you're saying with it being dark in that sense. The thing that I probably would have liked to see, how in episode 1, where they're underseas and it's super dark, but it has almost a different color hue or color tint to it, so you're able to see all the majestic things down there and everything like that. I wish probably we would have been able to see a little bit more clearer of the wreckage and everything that's going on. Now I get it from that scare factor and everything like that with things popping out at you. They kind of wanted it a little bit dark, but I at least wish that we had the flashbacks or some type of lightning of the second walkthrough where maybe she's walking through and it's the actual place, and
that would have solved my complaints of where we didn't get anything new. If they would have done flashbacks, then you would have gotten to see that brightness, you would have gotten to see what it looked like, and it would have brought something new. So I agree with you on that, but I mean, it's a fucking underground cave.
Yeah, I think in terms of the lighting, it was okay to have it dark, but in terms of the flashbacks, yes, that would have been nice. In a weird way, I don't know, maybe they avoided the flashbacks because Mandalore, at least maybe in Bo-Katan's time, she probably can't really recall much of a peaceful time.
I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all. She said that she was there and she was talking about all the memories of her doing the thing. She knew what that place looked like.
Well, yes, she does know. I just feel like, I'm trying to find a devil's advocate way, and to be honest with you, I don't think there really is much. Yes, it was probably a missed opportunity for sure, but all in all, I think it was done on purpose for them to walk the same path, and maybe that will show you that they are the same or that they are going to split from their paths and walk different lines, it seems like everyone's saying flashbacks would have been good. Well, finally, get to the scene. I love that Bo-Katan, she's clearly a badass. The Amalekites, try to take her out, and you can tell she's well versed in this world, right? She knows what to expect. She knows the fighting techniques of these creatures, so she just takes them out, no problem. And she does call Din Djarin Grogu's father. I love how she kept saying that. She's just like, let's be honest here. Din Djarin is Daddy Din Djarin to Grogu. But we finally get this. Sorry, what was that, Orc?
Daddy to us all.
Daddy. We get this epic fight scene. She finally grabs the black saber, and like we talked about earlier, she clearly has no problem carrying this thing. So it does kind of beg the question: is this more proof that she is the rightful ruler of this, dark saber? What's your guys' thoughts on that? Like, clearly she had no problem.
I still think it comes into play with the fact that like it's part of a mental thing, and she doesn't have family. She doesn't really have anything going on. She's just been sitting on her throne, and so I feel like she like mentally was kind of calm, and also she's had more time with this, and so she may even know that like, okay, I have to be focused on only fighting this thing. And so that's why she's able to kind of just clear her head, focus on her mission of fighting this thing, so that then she can use it to her full ability. And I just don't think that Mando has really learned that yet, of like, okay, I need to clear my head. I can't think about Grogu. I can't think about that I'm not really a Mandalorian anymore. I can't think of those things. I need to just focus on fighting right now.
Yeah.
And
she's a badass.
Of course. Yeah. Super Bro, your thoughts?
Yeah, and I this episode kind of made me switch sides a little bit. Hear me out. Din Djarin, he's kind of gotten a little yuppie on me, a little soft since Grogu has shown up, and he's not quite the Mandalorian that we first saw in season 1. So he's definitely lost his way. He's taken off his helmet. He's not a Mandalorian anymore, and the weight of that, he can't even move around the darksaber very much. So when Bo-Katan picked that thing up, and she looked like a freaking badass with it, and she was straight up rocking that thing, it kind of converted me to Bo-Katan's side. Like
Team Bo-Katan?
Team Bo-Katan, man. She is the way. She rocked it. Her ship is super awesome. That was really fun to see. I personally think that unfortunately, Grogu has changed Din Djarin. Din Djarin's never going to be the same. And if you want a badass Mandalorian leader, that's Bo-Katan.
Interesting. So Corey's now Team Bo-Katan. And it's definitely something to be said that, and it makes sense why she can control it. She knows what to expect with it, and honestly, she probably still has a great connection to that black saber, simply because it was taken from her, from Moff Gideon. I think that hasn't changed her connection and her belief that it did belong to her. That was her whole point in season 2, was like, he took something that was mine and I want it back. So for her, it is very natural. However, I think it's very interesting that he gave it back to Din Djarin after using it. Curious what your guys' thoughts are on with that. Why would she give it back? Like, clearly, I think Din Djarin wouldn't have argued it, because as we saw at the season 2 finale, he was like, "Here, take it. I don't want it."
But like you said, Trey, she had to. It wasn't hers to have. He didn't give it to her, and she didn't win it.
So no matter what, she's still honorable, and she still believes in the rules that it either has to be given to her or won by combat.
Yeah. The Mandalorians, while they've, fallen out of the way, they're maybe not as, hardcore on some things as they used to be. They're still the way. There's still these commandments that, must be followed. So, and I think the one who holds the darksaber has, that they still hold that, truth, and that way of following the rules extremely important.
Do you think the same, Orca means on that?
Yeah, I think even though she's kind of given up on the Mandalorian way. I still think she has honor, and I think for her to just take it back, it isn't her style.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's why she was so quick to give it back, because she's not fully a part of the Mandalorian way anymore. She still has honor.
So sorry, my computer was starting to freak out a little bit. So one thing I did want to bring up with the creature thing real quick. First off, I love the fact that it could detach its head and go into that crab tank thing it had. Like, so cool. What do you think it was using Din Djarin's blood for? Like, do you think in a weird way it was kind of like to keep him like rejuvenated, and like that was kind of like his energy source?
Yeah, I think so too. Because I mean, I think it is kind of like a Grievous situation where it's part droid, part humanoid thing, and because you can see like tubes going into it and stuff like that. So maybe he was harvesting the blood to use for himself. Is my guess.
You know,
Gotcha.
I was wondering that, but I was also wondering maybe, Mandalorian blood's good blood, right? You know, so maybe taking some stuff, maybe cloning some stuff. I don't know down there,
Yeah, well, possibly, right? That's kind of an interesting thought for sure.
What's up, Captain Jack?
Welcome, Captain Jack. Good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. All right, Corey, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So, of course,
I do want to say that when that shield and that Darksaber popped up in that slide, man, that was the only time I appreciated the darkness of the episode.
Oh yeah, visually it's and I was kind of surprised that they didn't use the black saber to kind of light it up like we've seen other Jedis do with their lightsabers, but at the same time, it really feels like they take that dark saber so seriously that it's only meant to be used for a weapon. What was your thoughts, Corey? You were kind of giving.
I feel like Disney got cheap on me there.
Disney got cheap on you there?
It's easier just to make everything dark.
Oh my God! They're like, yeah, we can't afford CGI on this. But of course, Bo-Katan kind of gets Din Djarin back to health. Makes him some soup.
I had an issue with that too. So when he gets captured, Grogu tries to free him. Doesn't work. He yells, "Go get Bo-Katan."
Mm-hmm.
She saves him. He wakes up. He goes, "What happened? How did you get here?" And it's like, you told Grogu to get her. I don't know if it was maybe he was just delirious from what happened and was just trying to get his head right. And he's like,
well, he was drained of blood. He could have had some memory loss.
Been that, but I was just like, why would you? You know why she's there. You told Grogu to get her.
Retro Nerd Girl says the liquid he was extracting was not red, a mixture perhaps of body fluids.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure exactly. I wondered that as well, but like it kind of, I didn't know if it was like the tube or the lighting that was kind of red. It was just like clearly they were draining him of some type of fluid, whatever of what that creature needed to, I don't know, whatever it uses it for. But it was, to me, just kind of just a cool concept all around for that creature thing. Oh my gosh. But of course, as you were kind of saying, Orc and Beans, I think he was kind of delirious, and also I think he was a bit surprised. Like, there's moments where I think we're not sure exactly, because Grogu tends to, like the eggs from, what was it, season 1 or season 2, when he was like, "Don't eat the eggs," and Grogu kept eating them, and so you're like, Grogu's just a child. He doesn't really listen or pay attention, or understand fully when like, people speak to him. Yeah, in this case, it was like, oh my God, like he not only followed orders, he brought Bo-Katan and like completely saved the day on this. Like Grogu was the freaking man. Obviously, with this story, and it's kind of just funny. We keep talking about like the differences between Bo-Katan and Din Djarin, because he gets up and he's like, "You were right, the world's not poisonous." So basically calling out how his superstition, because of the children of the Watch, were wrong in this instance. You know, the planet's not cursed, but she also kind of reiterates, like, well, I mean, isn't it? Like, look at how destroyed my world is. You know, isn't this place cursed with battles and war and just death? Captain Jack says Jay was kind of slacking in this episode. He was kind of what do they call it? Nerfed. Yeah, he was kind of nerfed a bit in this one, so that Bo-Katan and Grogu could kind of shine, which I think that was okay. I would have, I mean, I'm only saying it was okay because I think at some point we will see Din Djarin. I mean, Book of Boba Fett, right? Like those final episodes, we saw Din Djarin killing it, you know?
Yeah, I can handle the weak lights, black dark saber skills. I can't handle the, you know, like how he doesn't have his hand, you know, his pistol out right away. You know, he's taking it, you know, he needs a droid to check air quality, you know, to be cautious that way, but he's not ready to rock and roll, you know, with, you know, ultimate firepower from the get-go, you know, kind of, yeah, dude about drowned himself.
Yeah, I was a little confused by that too, Captain Jack. Like when we'll get to that scene in just a moment, but yes, well, I was a little kind of, really, why did that happen? But we get to this, like, you know, they're constantly kind of having this dialogue between each other where it's like, do you believe in the superstition? Do you believe in the curse? Or are you part of the creed? Or are you part of this new way of thinking? And when she kind of said, like, well, my world is cursed, and like, and yet you're still going to go after this silly creed, you know, to redeem yourself in the living waters of Mandalore. And he was just like, yeah, because like, this is all we have. This is all our people have. Like, we fought, we have killed each other. Are completely, you know, not to get, you know, we're not unified anymore. Like, this is all we have left to kind of hold us together as a group of people. So he's like, so yeah, I'm gonna redeem myself to be that. And she it's kind of that funny, like, you almost like she's almost inspired by his faith. Or not only that, or kind of just the playful manner, like, cool, I'll take you and show you how this place is not special, how this living waters has no magic to it. There's kind of a playfulness to her as well about it. Which side do you guys kind of take on that? Do you think she takes him to the living water because she's like, I'll give in to your fantasy and let you figure it out? Or do you think there is kind of this side where maybe she's starting to believe in his faith a little bit?
No, I saw it as just her kind of being like, well, I'm already here. I might as well just take him so he can do his stupid little thing and we can get out of here. Like, I think it was just kind of, I don't think she, not until towards the end of the episode, starts to believe again. I think, because she even kind of reads that, like, text kind of smugly, like, kind of like she's not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And then she's kind of stunned that, like, when he just starts walking in the waters, like, she figured, like, oh, I've kind of been talking shit about this and how it's not real or whatever, and then, oh, he's still going in. All right, like,
yeah, still baptizing himself.
Yeah, she was still surprised that, like, he still wanted to do this and he still believes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think even when she's reading that text, she's reading it smugly. She's not taking it seriously. I don't think she's believing anymore. Till later.
Super Bro Corey, your thoughts about when she starts escorting him to the living waters? Does she believe it, or is this playful, like, I'm going to show you this superstition, this place of magic that you say, and you're going to realize there's nothing special about it?
No, I think, well, you know, kind of going, how I kind of thought of it is Bo-Katan, well, I haven't gotten to know fully because I haven't seen all the Clone Wars and Rebels and different things like that. The one thing I do know is that she's in a lot of episodes and she's a big player in all of this. So part of me says that it's the adventure, it's the journey, it's the you know, she's, you know, always a part of, you know, something. You know, she's always willing to go on the adventures. Is what I would say from what I've seen or heard about her character. So there's something to her being there, and this is she's there to go through. I wonder if deep down in a little bit, while she spews this ideology that the lore is false or broken or different things like that. I think while this seems to be a redemption story for Din Djarin, it's also going to be a redemption story for Bo-Katan, and she's going to kind of deep down. She's while she's hardened over. Deep down, I feel like she's curious as well if it's still true, still the way, and I think Din Djarin is going to help show her that it is the way.
There was a certain scene that happened when she was taking him down to the mines and the lair of the living waters, right? There was something that they were having this conversation. She was talking about her father, about how I've been here before. And he's kind of, because of his faith of this place and the magic of it, he's kind of in awe of her, because oh, you've been to the living waters, and she's like, and like you kind of said, Orc and Beans, like she's kind of taken as no big deal. Like, yeah, we went down to it when I was a child because I recited the same creed that you did for all of our subjects.
For show, kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a great point. And when he starts saying to her, oh, your father sounds like an interesting person, I'm sure he would have been proud. And she says he was proud. He died in battle for Mandalore. And he stops, and you could tell how serious of a moment this is. It's like kind of the Spartans, right? Like we keep talking about different things that influence the Mandalore, how there was no greater honor for these warriors to die in battle for your country. And the Mandalorians are very much this way. And when he just stops and it's great pause and just says, this is the way. And then he moves forward, and she's kind of like, in a way, admired by, she admired that. It was like a very meaningful moment for her of wow, this is how far his belief is, and it was just this really sweet moment. And it was almost kind of funny because Grogu catches it, right? And she's kind of just realizes she kind of got lost in the moment there a bit. And she, has to break out of it and be the badass character that she is, to put up the front. And she's like, what are you looking at? And I kind of get a feeling, I don't know, I'm going to have a little theory here that one scene kind of made me think, one, this was kind of the start of her starting to think maybe there's something to this creed, to this faith that can bring people together, just like Retro Nerd Girl said, with the Children of the Watch is the only group of Mandos that are organized and focused right now. She will not rule without them. Din is her path to redemption for her own cause. That's a very interesting thought about that. Mm-hmm. And the fact that, she's kind of in awe of that moment, the fact that it really meant the world to him that her father gave his life in battle for Mandalore, that there was no greater honor, that there was no greater, thing you could do for Mandalore. And to say this is the way so passionately to her, I think really was hey, Aunt Patty, was really the start to maybe her change. But I was also starting to wonder if the possibility, if there could ever be maybe a romantic connection between them.
Between Din and Bo?
Between Din and Bo. Thoughts?
Corey, go first.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
You don't think that is, I just thinking that clearly there was a little bit of, it maybe attraction's not the right word. Maybe it was just admiration for his belief in the cause. But I just feel like the fact that she really kind of got thrown off her game there when he said this is the way to her. And to have Grogu catch on to it and have her try to snap back into the character she has built for herself. was interesting.
I think you're right. I think that could possibly be a pathway for Din Djarin not to die in this series. I kind of wonder, if he's going to go out in a bang, to save Grogu and everything like that. Is kind of what I've wondered since he's kind of flipped a switch. Everything's about Grogu now for Din Djarin. That's interesting. They're both lost. So this journey is definitely going to help bring them closer together, both emotionally as well as I can see that being a possibility that they ship them as Retro Nerd Girls just said.
Your thoughts, Orkin Beans, about the possibility of there being a relationship?
I don't know if that necessarily will happen, but I think it's going to be kind of a thing where like they come together through this moment and maybe something else that happens, but then once she's back into believing he's a Mandalore again, then we're going to see them divide because they're going to want to handle the way of the Mandalore in different ways, and then that's when it's going to create that divide. And then at the end of the series, we're going to have the battle for the Darksaber, and Grogu wins.
and how does being, how do you ship Mandalores as well? They're not allowed to take off their helmets. So how's that work?
It stays on, I guess.
Well, I mean, it all depends on which faction of the Mandalore that you believe. Do you believe the Children of the Watch where you can't take off your helmets? Death Watch believed you could. Most of the factions believed you could take off your helmet. They thought that was a bit extreme, but the Children of the Watch believed you could not. And it's just the difference of ideology.
Their socks on during the act. Mandalores just keep their helmets on.
Yeah. So we get to the lair, right, of the mythosaur and the living waters, so that Din Djarin may finally redeem himself. And there was that inscription that kind of like what you would see on any tour, right? Or like landmark, like we kind of see Corey in the Rocky Mountain National Park. But there was this inscription that says, "These mines date back to the age of the first Mandalore. According to the ancient folklore, the mines were once a mythosaur lair. Mandalore the Great is said to have tamed the mythical beast. It is from these legends that the skull signet was adopted and became the symbol of our planet." And obviously, as she kind of like Orkin Beans kind of mentioned, she kind of says this with a little bit of spite. And she sees Din Djarin starting to take off, his weapons and his jetpack, and he starts to head into the waters, and he starts to recite the same creed that we heard in the first episode. But once again, before the person who is reciting the creed can actually finish it, they get cut off from it, so they never actually fully finish the creed. Do you feel like this is being done on purpose now?
Yeah, 100%. I think he still has to believe that I think because of how seriously he's taking this, even he's going to be like, well, I never finished, so but I think maybe him and Bo-Katan are going to have kind of a serious conversation of like what they just saw down in those waters, and then maybe some more shenanigans happens and he doesn't actually get to do it.
How about you, Subro?
Yeah, I'm curious, what happened down there. Why did he just drop like that?
That was definitely my one issue with episode 2. The only thing I can figure is maybe the Beskar metal is just so heavy that you can't really swim without a jetpack, and he was probably not expecting there to be a drop.
He went limp.
Yeah. This is a little weird in my opinion. There's like, he's not able to walk on water. There's something interesting about that.
You think it was just a plot device to be like, oh, he didn't finish the creed, so he's drowning in the water. Demon think to pressurize his helmet,
Yeah, no, there's something that about that what just happened that wasn't right. Obviously, because he damn near drowned. He went to the straight to the bottom. I haven't seen a Mandalorian baptism before, but that ain't it, big fella. So,
well, we haven't seen it at all, right, Corey? Like, because even the first kid didn't get it done.
Exactly.
Without a giant creature in the water ruining it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's definitely something interesting. If for me to kind of make it make sense, when I first saw, I was kind of like, well, that's silly. Like, how does he just start drowning and like deep? Diving into the water so quickly that even her jetpack can't catch up to him before he hits the ground.
Right. And, real quick, Retro Nerd brings up technically Bo is baptized at the end of this episode too. So this can't be the only thing.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I've seen, like, for me to kind of make it reasonable of why he dropped so quickly, the only thing I can figure is that metal just sank, with him wearing that armor, he just sank so fast to the bottom, and he didn't pressurize his helmet at that moment. So I don't know if it works out technology wise that he could pressurize it while he's underwater, but yet water's already there. So yeah, he would be drowning. So I don't know, who knows what really happened in that moment. It was a bit weird to me, but to kind of just make it okay for story wise, I'll let it be. But obviously Bo-Katan goes down to save him, and I love that she turns off her light so that she can see his light all the way down at the bottom, so that way she misses the certain thing as she goes down. And then of course when she gets him off the ground, she turns on her light again, and we see the mythosaur, the giant creature of legend on Mandalore. Do you guys, this is something that, like, when I saw it, I immediately jumped out of my seat. I really was like excited to think of what this could mean. But out of curiosity, for you guys who don't really know the Star Wars, myths, especially when it comes to Mandalorian, what was your thoughts first time seeing those characters, seeing the mythosaur?
Before we jump into that, quick shout out to Dr. Matt Studio. He says, hello, folks. Greetings from Britain.
Welcome, Dr. Matt Studio. That's awesome. New Britain as well. Hey, that's awesome. Glad to have you here.
First time in the chat. So we welcome. Yeah, welcome you.
You got to welcome him properly, though, Corey.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Dr. Matt Studio, because this is your first time here on the Delta Squad Bat Channel stream, we always like to greet our first guests with a little hello.
Hello there.
Hello there. Welcome. Good to see you, Dr. Mad City. Hope life is treating you well. We're just discussing the coming towards the end of episode 2 of season 3 of The Mandalorian. Would love to hear your thoughts on it, so definitely put it in the comments. But Orkin Beans, your thoughts about seeing the mythosaur for the first time?
I look forward to seeing Grogu ride it. As he's
riding it,
as he wields the Darksaber.
He's not far off there, because Grogu did tame the Rancor on Book of Boba.
I mean, it's an incredibly important part of the Mandalorian history, and so I think the fact that they're like, holy crap, there's one alive at the bottom of this. I mean, I can't see why they wouldn't try to tame it or ride it, because we had the guy in either season 1 or season 2 where he talks about how the Mandalores used to ride them.
Season 1 with Nick Nolte's character. Yeah, I have spoken.
Yeah, and so it's a thing that they do, is they ride these things, and whoever ends up with the Darksaber, I can't see why they wouldn't be riding that thing at the end too. I think we're gonna get that be one of the last shots we see, is them riding off on this gigantic thing with the Darksaber. It's gonna be awesome, and I just hope it's Grogu.
Interesting. Super Bro Corey, your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was super cool. I've always wondered what it looked like, because it's such a unique design there. It's so iconic and everything like that. So it's I guess since we've always kind of seen it 2D, I never really knew what it actually looked like. So it looks fantastic, looks awesome. Yes, I think this is going to be further, truth to that. Maybe it's time to come back to Mando, to the Mandalore and rebuild. Now it seems like it's a perfect time to restore Mandalore.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dr. Matsu says, I'm up to speed with the Mandalorian, so don't worry about spoilers. Good to know. Hopefully, breakdowns are usually spoiler videos, so hopefully we didn't ruin anything for anybody. I hope it was self-explanatory by our thumbnail. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Glad to have you here, and glad to hear your thoughts.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, thank you so much. It always helps with your guys' support and sharing our streams. But I'm glad to hear that you loved the recent episode. Yeah, I definitely did as well. Yeah, man, with the Mythosaur, I feel like there's so much to this, and they're hinting at a lot of things, right? We saw the Mandalorian, Din Djarin with Book of Boba Fett. We saw him get on the Rancor. Even Boba Fett was, riding the Rancor. We saw that Grogu has a connection the way like Ezra Bridger had with creatures, that he was able to speak to them through the Force with the space whales, the Purrgil, and in a similar way, maybe Grogu is going to be able to have that same connection. But more importantly, the Mythosaur, as even with Star Wars fans, this was kind of considered, just as it sounds, right, the Mythosaur, right? A lot of people, it was legends, like people didn't even know if they existed anymore. And I think it was important that Bo-Katan saw the Mythosaur, and as you can tell, she's like in shock about it when she pulls Din Djarin out of the water, because the creature exists. The last, great rider, the Mythosaur, was Mandalore the Great, and he was kind of the leader of their people. So why I think this is so important is, and this is, I feel bad that I'm going to compare it this way, because I know some Star Wars fans are going to be like, damn it, Disney. I kind of got the sense that they're kind of going like an Avatar route with this thing, where this like thing is kind of considered like the great Archaeopteryx thing from Avatar, and whoever rides it, was it the Makto, the Great Makto, something like that? Whoever rides it kind of becomes the leader of Mandalore. Or the leader of Pandora, in this case Mandalore. So I get the feeling that that's probably what it's leading to eventually. But I think for Bo-Katan, her shock and awe kind of came from this moment of like, holy shit, some of the legends are true. Maybe the waters are magic. This beast holds such a great, powerful aura or surrounding it, the legend surrounding it, of what it means to Mandalore. And I think for her, it could have been the official switch of not so much believing everything that the children of the Watch believe, but at least believing in some of the magic of Mandalore. What was your guys' thoughts on Bo-Katan's reaction? And do you think Din Djarin saw it, or was he unconscious during that time?
No, I think he was out because he was limp. And so I think he wasn't, I don't think he saw it maybe. And I think he's going to be really bummed out about not seeing it.
Well, something tells me he won't have to, he'll see it surely again. That was not the last time we saw the Mythosaur. Super Bro, Corey, your thoughts?
Yeah, we're going to see much more of the Mythosaur, which is exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. And then what's your guys' thoughts about Bo-Katan? Do you think her reaction is kind of not so much fully going over to the side of faith, but what do you think she was thinking there? Is she scared? Is she starting to a change in her is starting to happen about what Mandalore could be again? what's going on? What's going through her mind?
I think she's going to be confused and maybe kind of go that route of like, oh, I'm not quite sure what I saw. It was so dark down there or whatever. So I think this is probably just like the leading towards her turning.
Okay. How about you, Super Corey? What's your thoughts about Bo-Katan and seeing the Mythosaur?
Yeah, I think along this journey, she's going to find reasons to believe in the way again. So, this is the path to redemption. This is the path to restore Mandalore. This is the path. This is the way.
Oh, sorry. The dog was starting to snore, and I was like, trying to pick her up. Like, come on, Ellie. Like,
Ellie Belly.
I think a lot of cool things. Once again, it's definitely not the last time we saw of the Mythosaur. I think we've constantly kind of brought up these last couple of episodes of how the Mandalorians are not unified, and that at some point they need to come together. And as Retro Nerd Girl said, #restore Mandalore. I think this is a lot of what's going to be driving this story, is kind of the restoration of Mandalorians, and hopefully to have a unified people again. And we know clearly the Darksaber won't really do that, because the Mandalorians now know who is in possession of the Darksaber. The Children of the Watch are, and you don't see the Children of the Watch following Din Djarin. And some of you people would be like saying like, well, Trey, they're not following him because he's not a Mandalorian. Well, that's not entirely true, because in Clone Wars, Darth Maul gets the Darksaber, and because he won it in combat, the Mandalorians followed him. A lot of them did. Some of them did say like, well, we're not going to follow him because he's not truly Mandalorian. But at the same point, there was a group that just quite a few that said, yep, he's the new Mandalorian rightful ruler. So curious to see how it goes. But I think if Din Djarin, Bo-Katan, or as Orkin Beans likes to think, Grogu, maybe when someone is taming the Mythosaur, maybe that changes everything. As Retro Nerd Girl says here, Bo never believed, she was only concerned with preserving her family rule. That is her blind spot. Seeing the Mythosaur is confirming she misjudged the myths of Mandalore as a superstition. Great point.
This is the way.
This is the way. It did kind of, there's something that changed in her at that moment. Seeing of something of so, I guess, a creature of divineness in the myth, in the myths of Mandalore. Yeah, you could have definitely done that for her. And of course, that's where the episode ends. They leave us on that cliffhanger of seeing the Mythosaur. I was jumping out of my seat with excitement, thinking of all the possibilities of what this could do for this season. Guys, as you know, we like to rate these shows. We like to rate each episode 1 through 10, 10 being the best. What would you guys rate it? And what's pros and cons of this episode? Orkin Beans, we'll start with you.
I'm going with 8.3. I'm sticking with my 8.3 that I came in with. I had issues with the same shots with Bo and the Mandalore, and actually, for once, Corey hurt my rating with saying that there was those no flashbacks. I agree with Corey 100%. Make Corey a writer on this show.
Yes.
I normally when we talk, my ratings usually go up, and this actually made me really stick with my rating of just an 8.3 because, yeah, they missed an opportunity with flashbacks, and I didn't like that we didn't really gain anything with having them do the same steps with just two different characters.
Okay. Corey, your thoughts?
My thoughts are.
You made me go last time before you.
Yeah, I was about to make you go first again. So yes, I guess here's how I take it, Orc. Yes, there were some missed opportunities for me in this episode. It was still a fantastic episode. And while I couldn't necessarily hear or see everything that I would have liked to see, It was really dark. I would have loved to see flashbacks of Mandalore. Just the, listening to it in like kind of the audio book, if you want to say it, because the screen was so damn dark. It was still a good episode by those means. Man, I think what saves this episode for me, as far as like the rating goes, because I would have knocked it down some, Cody, with how dark it is and how it wasn't necessarily maybe completely visually pleasing. I'm still going to give it. I'm going to give it an 8-9. And it's a little bit better than last episode. There's still some things that could have worked. It wasn't quite perfection, but we freaking saw the Mythosaur, a little glimpse of him. Bo-Katan with the Darksaber, that was freaking awesome, man. So, yeah, I'm giving it an 8-9, and I'm looking forward to next episode.
Okay, 8-9. So I think that was 0.1 up from last week. I loved this episode. Like I said, I love the Mandalorian culture. I love the creed and the myths of it, and the fact that the Mythosaur was only kind of like this thing that was spoken as legend, but we never knew if it existed truly. We just knew that of the symbol that Boba Fett had for years, right? And now you're finally seeing the inspiration, the true inspiration of that creature. And then I loved all the details behind this episode. I loved the fact that Din Djarin was struggling to carry the Darksaber, and Bo-Katan having an easier time. Teaching Grogu of space navigation to where he could help, finally. And he was a little badass with all of his little jumps. Mm-hmm. I loved the dialogue between Grogu and Bo-Katan, and even when Bo-Katan spoke with Din Djarin, like there's just moments here where I feel like, yeah, if you probably did watch Clone Wars, if you have watched Star Wars Rebels, you probably enjoyed this episode a little more because you did know what Mandalore was like before this. Mm-hmm. You did know all these, behind the scenes when, Bo-Katan was talking about, I've worked with Jedis. We didn't always fight. We used to have a great relationship kind of thing going on. I knew what she was talking about there, and I could reminisce a little bit. So for me, I think originally I was at like a 9.3. But Corey, I'll give you credit because the flashbacks, you're absolutely right. The flashbacks, just a quick one, would have benefited the episode just to make it a little bit more emotionally impactful if you haven't seen those things before.
Yes, I just want to see what Mandalore originally looked like. Give me a flashback, quick glimpse so I could be like, oh, this is sad.
Yeah. With that being said, it was still an amazing episode for me, so I'm going to give it a 9.1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knocked you down 0.2 points. I knocked you down how many points?
You didn't knock me down any points. You just kept me at my 8.3.
Okay.
Because most times when we do these, I come in with a score and then they go up as we talk. This kept me where I was at.
Man, remember when you said you're going to argue with me and you're going to I knew I was going to get you.
You're still wrong about the lights, but you're right about the flashbacks.
Good stuff. Well, let's go over to the chat tray and see what they're saying there. Beyond the Night gave it 9.1 Mythosaur, baby. Bat10 gave it 8.6 2569125. 8.6
Are you doing that? 8675309.
Yeah. 9.2 for Moracle's Clock Tower. Dr. Matt said, I'm just eager to see Thawne.
I'm right there with you, Dr. Matt Steele. Thawne is going to be a big. I think he's going to be a end scene reveal. I think he's just going to be like a post credit leading, like the thing that pushes off to a Ahsoka show.
8.8 from hashtag 8.7 from Best.
Okay.
A solid 9 out of 10 golden nuggets for me from Dr. Matt Studio. Sure H is 9.1. I really liked it. Retro Nerd Girl with a 9. I wish this was the first episode and the pacing was awkward, but it was rich with Mandalorian lore and possibilities. Okay. She loved it. And then Red Hooded Outlaw gave it a 9.05. LOL.
Just to be different, because I saw a lot of 9.1. So people weren't like, it's not a masterpiece, because we always say masterpiece is 9.5 and up, but like 9 is like you freaking loved it.
But it was a solid episode. It was a solid episode.
Seems like everyone's like in the 8s and 9s, and that's great. I'm glad that Mandalorian is still holding that like value of 8s and 9s to people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's a great show. Any expectations for episode 3 on March 15th, guys? Do you want them to stay on Mandalore for another day, or do you think we're going to be jumping to another planet?
I'm hoping he goes back and tries to convince them that, like, hey, Mandalore, we can go back, we can take it back, you can breathe on it and stuff like that. So I hope we get to see him try to convince them that, like, hey, we can go back.
Do you think he'll get shunned if he does that? Because yes, you bathed in the waters, but you spoke, because he kind of, in a way, disproved their superstition. We know how sometimes people can really hold on to their superstitions to the point of, no longer being just, what's the word I'm looking for, Corey? No longer being reasonable. Do you
possibly
think kick him out further?
I could see them being like,
blasphemy.
Yeah, no way. Like, we know what we know, and it's like, come on, dude. Like, I've seen it. I've seen the mythosaur, and they're like, nah, we don't believe you have. So,
I think that's one of the cool things. Like, they said that he needed to bring proof that he bathed in the waters and that he redeemed himself as a Mandalorian. Well, how awesome would it be if he showed video footage of a mythosaur to the rest of the Mandalorians, like, hey, take a look at this one.
Or I still feel like if he's going to bring back proof, probably riding the mythosaur is going to be that proof. But
that would be even more awesome.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get there yet. I think that's going to be pushed to like.
Oh, that's not season 3. That's not episode 3.
Yeah.
See you there, Dr.
Matthew. Thank you so much for being here, brother. I really appreciate it. It's good to see some new faces in our chat. So thank you. Hope to see you again soon with our next Delta Squad stream, breaking down the next episode of Mandalorian and other Star Wars content. But it was great seeing you here. Thank you for being here. Yeah, man. I hope they stay on Mandalore a little more. I hope this just wasn't a quick side trip. I would like them to kind of explore further and maybe to see some of the changes now in what was a very conflicted Bo-Katan these last couple of episodes that we've seen her, to kind of see even further now that she's kind of like, oh my God, like there's a mythosaur down there. But what's up, baby girl? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Some great stuff for sure. So guys, make sure, if you haven't already, smash that like, share the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Our replay crew, you guys know what to do. Comment, let us know what your thoughts are in episode 3. And as always, I like to roll out the red carpet for all my people on the panel. Mr. Orkin Beans 14, what you got going on?
Yeah, so I'm over on Twitch doing that stuff. I'm probably going to try to stream tomorrow. I'm not sure what we're going to play yet, but I'm probably going to stream tomorrow. And then next weekend, your boy Orkin Beans is going to try to take the WWE Championship from whoever's got it. WWE 2K23 is coming out. I had it scheduled for March 18th, but I'm so excited that I'm going to do it a day early, and I'm going to do it on Friday, March 17th. Is when I'm going to start playing, because I'm too excited. I bought like the super special edition, so I technically get it 3 days early. But I want to be able to kind of do what our man Lord Koj does, where he can get some logos and stuff. So I want to make sure my Orkin Beans logos and stuff are in there.
Nice.
So I'm going to spend a few days getting that all set up. But March 17th is going to be a big stream for me. And we need to do Battlefront stream soon.
Yes, we will be doing another Star Wars Battlefront 2 gaming party where people can join us on that. Just like we had Skywalker the Jedi. I think even Koj joined us on one time, if I want to say correctly. Just we like to have fun, man.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's just always a good time over on Orkin Beans Twitch account. So guys, he's taking it over. Just check it out. The WWE 2K23 is going to be lit. I'm excited to watch that. And St. Patrick's Day, my man. That's going to be a fun day for sure. I'm going to definitely be checking out that stream because I love it. And the whole Snyder Cut fire scene that Koj has been doing on his channel. Croy and I are currently the tag team champions, and I heard Orc and Beans 14 is going to be making a new character appearance.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
That's gonna be right. It's kind of just cool, just the fun that some people have on their different channels and making something new and different, and that's always fun. But guys,
I
go
have
ahead.
a question. What are you? You know, the stream's wrapping up now. What are you and Aunt Patty and the fans gonna do today?
I'm getting a smoker.
You're getting a smoker?
Yes. So I'm gonna start smoking meats. I'm gonna try to learn how
Hey!
to smoke ribs and stuff because my dad really wants me to smoke some ribs, and I'm gonna try to spend all this time to perfect my art so that on we're gonna have a big 4th of July party at our house. So I'm gonna
see now that's what I'm talking about. When you become an adult, you figure out there's 2 paths ahead of you. There's either you're gonna get really deep into World War II history, or you're gonna learn how to smoke some meats. And you, my friend, chose correctly.
The first thing that I did when we bought the house was I bought a grill.
Hell yes.
And so now I'm finally getting my smoker. I'm super excited for it.
Are we going to get another Aunt Patty crashing the stream or anything like that?
I don't think so. They're talking to Rich right now.
All right.
Well, send them our love,
Yes,
and we said hello. We do miss them. Hope Uncle Keith had a great 60th birthday. Just 10 times, my man. Hope you have a good time with the smoking. You better save us some. I know we'll have to travel a long way, but you know.
Yes, please come down.
Tim Talk. Welcome, buddy.
Tim Talk, what's up? Guys, Tim Talk has a great YouTube channel that you guys should check out. We actually talk about a lot of the similar themes. So Tim Talk, we might have to talk sometime, Tim, and maybe have you on the show because it seems like we're both interested in a lot of the same things. But definitely check out his channel. Check out Retro Nerd Girl. Check out Batman's Thoughts. I'm trying to think, was anyone else who had a YouTube channel that we missed? Socks Bulletin was here. But yes, check out, you know how we feel. Support all of our content creators. Support Orc and Beans 14 over on Twitch. He's killing it over there. Can't wait for his streams tomorrow. I will be doing a show with the Savage Bat, who's usually on our Delta Squad stream. He couldn't join us tonight, so make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. His link is in the description along with Orc and Beans 14. I'll do a show with him tomorrow for like an hour. And then I will also be checking out Orc and Bean stuff and big events going on next weekend, guys. Get ready. It's going to be lit. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I'm Trey of the Bat Channel with Super Bro Corey. And don't forget to tune in weekly.
Same bat time.
Same bat channel. I miss Savage when he says that. See you later, guys. Have a good one.